A big thank you to everyone who has contributed to getting this episode online on the public free feed. Thank you so much to all patrons. Welcome to the Lesbian Romantic Podcast. This is Connection Revealed, Part 44. September 24th, 2063. Fire Blue Territory, North American Province, 10:20 a.m. local time. Louise sat down behind the wheel and immediately started the engine. She hit the gas pedal the second Jade had closed the passenger door. "What took you so long?" Michelle asked, her voice strained. Louise glanced to her side and saw the fear in Michelle's eyes. She saw the same terror in Jade's eyes in their rearview mirror. She drove off the compound's parking lot before she answered Michelle's question. "We came as fast as we could. I had to talk to the scientists first," Louise said, feeling relieved as she saw the compound gate disappear behind them without anyone following. "And we needed to get back Jade's tablet." "You have your tablet?" Michelle asked, turning in her seat. A long silence fell while Louise tried to keep her focus on the road. She knew that the tension in the air had little to do with their escape attempt. Still, she couldn't resist another glance in their rearview mirror when the silence stretched on. Jade had averted her gaze and sat with her arms crossed, the tablet pressed against her chest. "Do you have your seatbelt on?" Louise asked Michelle, even though she knew it would sound silly. Michelle sighed and turned back in her seat, pulling the seatbelt towards the buckle. "Where are we going?" Jade asked. "You said you would explain everything in the car." Michelle immediately replied, "She's taking us somewhere safe." "Yes, so I've heard," Jade said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Louise smiled. Michelle and Jade sounded like bickering lovers, or children. Either way, these two hadn't let go of each other, she sensed. That was good. If Louise's plan worked out, they would need each other. "I need to stop at work first," Louise said before Michelle and Jade could say anything else. "What?" They chimed in unison. "I thought we needed to get out of here," Jade replied, clearly alarmed. "You never told me we were going to make another stop," Michelle added, sounding equally panicked. "At the research compound, I couldn't go online without raising suspicion," Louise explained. "I need to look something up to decide where we're going. And we need to get the information uploaded." "But we have the information with us," Jade said, sticking her head between the front seats. "You told me it's on this tablet." "But we don't have a connection," Louise said seriously. "So how are you going to get the information to your scientists?" She was trying to calculate how to get to her office as fast as possible. It was already mid-morning, and they still had a long way to go before darkness fell. "We give it to them?" Jade asked. Louise glanced to her side again, meeting Michelle's gaze. Michelle widened her eyes as if to say, "What?" Louise had to focus back on the road, but shook her head a little. Michelle sighed, then turned in her seat again to face Jade. "Look, Jade, I can't go back." "What do you mean?" Jade asked. "Back where?" "I can't go back to living that way," Michelle added quietly. "I can't go back to the base." Jade leaned back and sat in silence for a long moment. "So, what will you do?" she finally asked. "Honestly," Michelle replied, "I don't know. All I know is that I can't go back." "But you can't stay here," Jade said. "No, I can't. But Louise might know a place where I can go," Michelle said. Jade met Louise's gaze. "Together?" she asked, her voice sharp with pain. "With Louise?" Louise chuckled. "Of course not." Jade's eyes held both fury and relief when Louise met them in the mirror again. "Where do I go then?" Jade asked. "Do you want me to go back to the pod?" "You don't have to, but you can't stay here," Louise said, keeping her eyes on the road for an upcoming turn. She knew a road almost no one ever took because it was often flooded. But there hadn't been much rain lately, so she thought it was safe and it would get them to her office much faster with less chance of being seen. I'm sure the army will have eyes on the pod and can pick you up within hours, Michelle offered. But you're not coming with me to the pod, Jade stated. No, I'm not, Michelle replied softly. What do I tell the army about you? I don't know, Michelle said. I haven't really thought about that. It's all very new. Doesn't sound like a good plan, Jade said. They'll come looking for you here. I'll try to make sure that they won't, Louise said. I can do the same for you, she added, following her gut. She had waited to make this offer to Jade, knowing this woman could not be pushed into anything. What do you mean? Jade asked. Louise felt both women staring at her again. She took in a deep breath. It would be too suspicious if we pretend you're dead, she thought out loud. I mean, more people dying near the border after the incident with me and Hobbs a few years back. You're right, Michelle said. They'll blame the rebels. Although, it might not be as bad as you think. I sent my second-in-command a message to stop looking for me. The army might just be happy to be rid of me, to be honest. Louise smiled. They will get very busy when your power supply truly starts to fail. But I told a friend that I was here, Jade blurted out from the back seat. If he tells the army, they'll know something happened here. They might come— What? Michelle said, audibly upset. Who did you tell? It's just this friend I have. He's fascinated by the rebels. We share information now and then. He picks things up here and there. That's treason, Michelle said. Both Jade and Louise groaned tiredly. Michelle laughed nervously. Right. Old habits. You better unlearn those fast, Louise said lightly, but she wasn't joking. I know, Michelle said. I know. Having been distracted by Michelle's comment, Louise now focused back on what Jade had shared. Who did you tell? She asked nervously. Jade hesitated. I don't want him to get in trouble. Louise suddenly got goosebumps. Surely this couldn't be a coincidence. A guy who loves the rebels and is able to get some clandestine information about them? There couldn't be that many of those in the global territory. Is his name Ben? She asked urgently. Jade and Michelle both gasped. How do you know? Jade asked, shocked. That sneaky little— Michelle began, then stopped herself by covering her mouth. I guess the universe set us up for this, Louise said with an amused smile. For what? Michelle asked, suspicious. You'll see. Louise grinned and accelerated again. September 24th, 2063. Fire Blue Territory, North American Province. 10:55 a.m. local time. They're waiting for you in the meeting room, Anjali said when Louise stepped inside the network monitoring room. Startled, Louise stopped and replied, All right. Our team meeting? Anjali offered, frowning. Louise felt a drop of sweat roll down her back. Her heart rate was going through the roof as well. Surely Anjali could see something was up. Sorry, my car broke down, Louise said. Had to walk the last part of the way. Anjali got up from behind her desk. Oh no, you must be exhausted. The air quality sucks today. Do you want me to send someone to pick up your car? She asked. No, Louise said, hurrying to her desk. Already took care of it. Another drop of sweat rolled down her back as she thought of Michelle and Jade hiding in the car in a patch of forest down the road. Are you coming to the meeting then? Anjali asked, tucking her hands in the pockets of her jeans. Yes, just give me a minute, Louise replied with a forced smile. I need to check my messages. Sure, Anjali said. I don't think there are any urgent updates, she added. Louise was losing her patience, but tried to hide it with another forced smile. I'll be right there, she said, plopping down in her chair. Can you let the team know? Okay, Anjali said hesitantly and reached for her stuff. In a flash of inspiration, Louise added, "Oh, can you perhaps already set up the latest firewall report? There is something I want to discuss, something I noticed yesterday after all of you left." Okay, Anjali agreed. Anything specific? Louise had always liked Anjali's thoroughness, but now she wished that the young woman would just do what she was told and not one bit more. No, just start loading the full reports, Louise said, entering her password. That'll take a few minutes, Anjali said. Yes, Louise said and squinted at the screen as her inbox started to load. That was the point. She needed Anjali in the meeting room for a while so she could get back out of the building. All right, Anjali replied, audibly confused. Louise didn't reply. Her eyes had spotted the message at the top of the list. It was from Elle and had been sent a few hours ago. The door fell shut behind Anjali, making Louise finally snap out of her surprise. She hadn't opened the message. She didn't want to hear Elle make more excuses for her behavior. First things first, she mumbled and logged into the sub-network where the scientist had said she would hide the information Louise needed to send to Ben. It would only be there for a limited time. I hope Ben's still as smart as he used to be, Louise thought, frowning. Her fingers moved quickly as she copied the files. She was relieved to see that she didn't need to enter a password to access them. The scientist had really come through. Louise wondered why the woman had risked so much. Was there something she was missing? As the files copied to another network, one that Louise had seen Ben accessing the previous day, she began drafting a message for him. She needed to guide him in the right direction without leaving evidence that her colleagues could use against her later. Spider-Man loved to swing off the tallest skyscraper, but then the city went dark, she typed and pondered. Chewing on the inside of her cheek, she added, He saved the city with the help of his friends, but it's important that their identities remain secret. They don't seek glory. She had saved and programmed the message to be displayed only once to anyone logging in from outside the network. Louise checked the status of the files and saw that they were almost transferred. After that, it would be up to Ben to share the information with someone who could use it. Louise rubbed her forehead, feeling the onset of a headache building behind her eyes. She quickly navigated to the plan she needed to check to find a safe place for Michelle and Jade. After a moment, she saw that she had remembered correctly and closed the files. Her eyes fell on Elle's message again. She slowly moved her finger toward it, but then heard the terminal chime, announcing all files had been copied. She didn't have any time to waste. She needed to leave before Anjali started looking for her. Louise commanded her terminal to shut down, already rising to her feet. A few seconds later, she hurried toward the door, breathing heavily. She wondered what Elle had written to her. It might be a long time before she found out, if ever. This was part 44 of Connection Revealed on the free public feed of the Lesbian Romantic. I'm actually currently writing part 48, and part 45, 46, and 47 are already available with all the bells and whistles fully produced for all patrons. So if you too want to get early access to all the episodes and get them fully produced and get exclusive access to the short stories I produce, I'm currently working on my second one, and it will be a 50-minute fully produced standalone story. If you want access to that, you are very welcome to join the Bells and Whistles Theater, the creative home of this podcast. Find out more at lesbianromantic.com/support. All right, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I am always grateful, and I'm always humbled. And I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode part 45 of Connection Revealed. And the full story is going to be 50 parts, by the way, 50. And so we've got a few more episodes to go to wrap up this story. And of course, I'm already planning the next one. And predictably, if you want updates on that and early access to the first episodes of the next story, one place to go, the Bells and Whistles Theater at lesbianromantic.com/support, where you can find all the links and information. Thank you again, and bye.